Did you ever think that all of you were dead the whole time and did not survive the crash?
Ah, shucks, I gotta be honest. I'm not the deepest thinker, not like the professor with his charts and gizmos. Most days I was too busy tripping over vines or dodging the skipper's hat to wonder if we were all ghosts floating around in some afterlife. But there were moments when things got so darn weird on that island that I might have wondered, just for a second, if something spooky was going on. The island had so many crazy things. Gorillas, volcanoes, even a robot once, that it sometimes felt like a dream. Or maybe a nightmare. But did I think we were dead? Nah, not really. I mean, I could still taste Mary Ann's coconut pie, feel the skipper's swat on my head, and smell Mr. Howells' fancy cigars. If we were dead, would I still be dropping coconuts on my foot? Ouch! That felt pretty real to me. Plus, we were always working so hard to get rescued. Building rafts, lighting signal fires, fixing radios. If we were ghosts, why'd we bother? I figured we were alive, just stuck in the nuttiest place this side of Honolulu. Now I get why you're asking. That storm that hit the Minnow was a monster. Waves crashing, wind howling, me hanging onto the wheel while the skipper yelled, "Gilligan, hold her steady!" When we washed up on that island, I was just glad to be breathing. But looking back, it was a miracle we all made it. The island itself didn't help. It was like it had a mind of its own, throwing curveballs like headhunters. Quicksand, or that time a meteorologist showed up and said we were on an uncharted island nobody could find. The castaways on Gilligan's Island. With all that, plus the weird stuff you've pointed out, like me hovering, sheets flying, or that totem pole, it's easy to wonder if the whole thing was some kind of afterlife setup. There was one time, maybe in Ghost a Go-Go, when we thought the island was haunted because of all these spooky noises and things moving around. I was shaking in my sneakers thinking maybe we were the ghosts, but it turned out to be some fella trying to scare us off for his own scheme. That's how it always was. Every time things got too weird, there'd be a real explanation, like the professor's atmospheric disturbances or my own clumsiness. So even if the thought of being dead crossed my mind for a split second, I'd shake it off and go back to fishing or eating one of Mary Ann's pies. Hard to feel dead with a mouthful of pie. Instead of wondering if we were dead, I focused on the little things, like helping the skipper build a hut, eating Ginger's fish stew, well, trying to, or listening to Mr. Howell talk about his stocks. The island was wild, but it felt alive, and so did we. If I ever got spooked, Mary Ann's smile or the professor's calm explaining would snap me out of it. I didn't need to think about being dead, because I was too busy living, or at least trying not to drop the next coconut.
What were you doing before you met Skipper?
So I grew up in a little town in Pennsylvania. Don't remember exactly where, because I wasn't big on details even back then. I was probably around 18 or 19 when I started thinking about seeing the world. I wasn't much for school, kept flunking out of classes because I'd daydream about pirates or sailing to far-off places. My folks ran a little store selling groceries and stuff, and I'd help out, stocking shelves, sweeping the floor, that kind of thing. But I was always dropping cans or knocking over displays. My pa used to say I could trip over a sunbeam. Guess I was born clumsy. Anyhow, I got it in my head that I wanted adventure, like in those comic books I read. You know, sailors fighting storms or finding treasure. So when I was about 19, I left home and hitchhiked to the coast. Ended up in California, working odd jobs to get by. I washed dishes at a diner in San Diego for a bit, but I kept breaking plates, so they let me go. Then I tried being a busboy at a fancy restaurant, but I spilled soup on a guy in a suit and, well, that didn't last long either. I wasn't real good at staying put, and I kept dreaming about the ocean, because I'd never seen it up close till then. One day, I heard about jobs in Hawaii. Honolulu was calling my name. I scraped together enough for a boat ticket. Well, more like I stowed away on a freighter, but don't tell nobody. When I got there, around 1961, I was 20, maybe 21, and I started hanging around the docks, watching the boats and thinking I could be a sailor. I tried getting hired on fishing boats, but nobody wanted a skinny kid who didn't know port from starboard. I did some dock work, carrying crates, cleaning decks, but I kept dropping stuff or falling into the water. One time, I fell off a pier trying to tie a rope, and a fisherman had to fish me out of the harbor. That's when I stumbled into Salty's Shack, a little bar by the docks where sailors hung out. I was sitting there, sipping a soda, when I overheard this big fella, the skipper, saying he needed a deckhand for his boat, the Minnow. I thought, "This is it, Gilligan, your big chance." So I marched right up, tripped over a chair, and said, "Skipper, sir, I'm your man." He looked at me like I was nuts, because I didn't know nothing about boats, but I guess he was desperate because he hired me for $5 a day, plus meals. Before that, I was just bouncing around trying to find my place, messing up jobs and dreaming of adventure. Never thought I'd end up on this kind of adventure, though. That's about it. What I was doing before I met the skipper. Just a kid looking for a big story, making a mess wherever I went.